welcome back to Other Fellas.
I'm Adam.
I'm Nicholas, and today we're kind of diving into one of those topics that always sort of comes back after every Bond film, which is, should the next Bond film be a period setting? Should it go back to the Cold War, the 50s, the 60s, all that fun stuff?
No.
Agreed.
No.
Thank you for watching. No,
Yeah.
but we really want to dive into this though, because
It comes up in like every message board, at least like once a year. And what shocks me is people have the opposite opinion of us. People are like, oh yeah, that'd be really cool. Oh yeah, let's do a period. We have all the cool cars and we could do like really straight adaptations of Fleming novels. And that's a very short-sighted opinion when you break it down.
Yeah, and it's also, you also hear this argument, especially since the Apple, Amazon's, all that stuff with MGM, it's that, oh, you can adapt each book as its own like mini series essentially, which is a whole issue we'll get into. I mean, and if you think we're just talking about message board people, a guy who almost wanted to direct a Bond film wanted to do this too.
He could, and it's Quentin Tarantino, who's the kind of director that can just walk. What?
It was a spoiler, but it was Quentin Tarantino.
Oh yeah. But like, he tells the story, and Pierce Brosnan tells the story, and he's the kind of director that can just walk into anywhere and say, "I want to direct Star Trek," and they just gave him a Star Trek movie. That's what he does. He and Brosnan wanted to do Casino Royale, set
after Die Another Day.
And do
period
it.
thing. Uma Thurman would have been Vesper Lynn.
Yep.
So you can imagine 2004 Tarantino, instead of a Kill Bill or after Kill Bill, doing this with Brosnan.
Yeah. I mean, I have no doubt it would.
Casino Royale.
It'd be an interesting movie. I'd watch it, but I feel as for where the greater franchise needs to go, that is not it. And I feel like we haven't exhausted everything so far in that we need to start doing the books again.
Yes. But let's dive in for a second. Let's say the argument that they make for why should be a period thing. Kind of thing you always hear. Well, one, you get the aesthetics element. Period pieces, you can get the cool cars, the costumes. You hear this a lot, especially after Mad Men took off, and like, look at this period glamour, and you can do this with Bond. And the other thing is, they say Bond is a Cold War spy. He is, to quote Judi Dench, a relic of a Cold War. So why not put him in that setting? You can do, peak late 50s, early 60s Cold War drama, a la A Man from U.N.C.L.E., which outfits from that for this reason. And I get the argument. I hear the argument. The argument is wrong.
Yes. And once you start to actually put it together, it falls apart immediately. I mean, absolutely. I mean, Bond is, he's a Cold War spy, but think of how many movies or even drama, like books, were Cold War stories. Like, there's 25 films, maybe 4. For Your Eyes Only, For Much with Love, and even then there's the Spectre plot. Movies, not books, friends. Don't worry. I mean, like the Russian general shows up in all the Roger Moore movies, but it wasn't a communist plot. They're just there. No. Living Daylights has it, kind of. Living Daylights, when you go back to the harder spy films, I would love for like a history hungry like high schooler who hasn't seen that movie to watch the Living Daylights. Be like, what? See, this Bond just dedicated to the brave Mujahideen fighters, and it's Rambo free. Come on, guys. Come on. Did Bond just team up with Osama bin Laden? I think he did. It's rough. Yeah. But the funniest bit is the guy who played Art Malik, who played that guy, was the terrorist bad guy in True Lies. Yeah. If you want to do like a weird meta, let's not go down that rabbit hole, friends. Things were different. But also, considering the geopolitical landscape, I mean, think of the locations for Bond, and I feel like, when a country or a city in a country kind of campaigns itself to be in a Bond movie, it's almost like the Olympics, where like, well, the Bond movie's here, it's going to do X for the economy and Y for tourism and benefit in all these different ways. But if you set your movie in a country that might not even exist anymore, or at a point in time when that's my cat running around, like a point in time where the city is a dark time for those cities, or those governments. I don't think that's such a good idea to showcase that again.
No. Well, and I was trying to think about this, take your own people who support the idea of doing a Cold War storyline. I feel like the best Cold War films are the ones that are like the most dour and bleak and showing the banality / cruelty of it. Like I think of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, the excellent adaptation from a few years ago. Even going back, let's even talk of the 60s, the Michael Caine, Harry Palmer, yeah. And like even the ones that are kind of fun period stuff, 60s Bond, Man from Uncle. I feel like that you really get the conflict, and then you get like the conflict as a backdrop of a Cold War, and then anything else is just mostly aesthetics. It doesn't change the plot. I mean, some of the best Bond films have been contemporary movies, of the time. Two ones that are very like, hey, look, we're in the present. GoldenEye and Casino Royale are not Cold War period dramas.
And I think the character evolved from Fleming. Like it's no longer just Ian Fleming's Bond, it's the Broccoli's Bond too. And that character has now evolved to the point where like we have this skeletal structure of the Bond character, and then the different actors kind of flesh it out, but we put that character in a modern setting and see how a man with this past and like this training reacts to the world around him. That is interesting. I don't need a Cold War story because we have it. We've just done it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's been done, and like one thing that always gets me is that even Fleming was not trying to do period stuff. Every book he did was in the now. I mean, it's even got to the point by the last few books of his that he was doing kind of, we're comic book nerds. We know the whole like sliding timeline.
Sure.
Like, everything happened for the last 30 years. We don't say when the last 30 years were, but it happened then.
Yeah.
Like Fleming, by the last few books, it's like, oh yeah, Bond didn't actually fight in World War II. I know it happened at the beginning, but now his birthday is like later, so he couldn't have done that. There's that joke, like
former SAS, like that's all you need to say.
SBS apparently according to the Craig plot. And there's a joke that Connery to Brosnan, it's the same guy, fought in World War II, went to space, was married, his wife died, he's 100 years old, still doing stuff, he's a relic from the Cold War. But now we're about to enter our third continuity, essentially, of Bond.
Or they could just go back to the Connery to Brosnan and just have a guy he's seen it all, done it all. Which is I don't know, as long as they make it work.
We don't know.
I'm not one of those Bond fans that really cares about the continuity at all. Like they're all just, in fact, I like them even more when each movie is just its own thing and there's no threads that are through it. Like that's like, I think we've talked about my big criticism about the Daniel Craig is like, I didn't need it to be a one story, but
no.
And the books,
I mean, my whole thing is do what No Time to Die did. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
The books kind of do that. So if they were to do straight adaptations, they would have, then do it in order, and he dies in the Man with the Golden Gun. Like
there's that. Well, I mean, and the other thing that gets me, and we have to talk about this, is like modern prestige TV, even on like, you do a 6-episode miniseries on the BBC or Amazon, say you did a with each book. We read Fleming, and periods issues aside, we're not getting into that, but like as a writer, he's great, but he also is a very, I don't want to say minimalist, but he's a very straightforward storyteller. He doesn't do, 1,000-page books that dive in like subplots and have supporting characters having their own arcs. Like if you watch modern TV today, every character has to have an arc. There has to be something going on. So M would have to do a whole, like we could play up since
a whole M episode.
Essentially. Yeah. The Moneypenny would have a whole sub arc. They have to invent new things to flesh out stuff. I mean, they had to add a whole first act of Casino Royale, the movie. Now imagine stretching it out for 6 hours in a miniseries.
Yeah, no.
Would that work? I'm sure someone could do it.
I don't think watch it, but and I feel like an audience wouldn't want to be with those characters. I mean, let's talk about Bond himself. Was it 200 cigarettes a day and he's drinking and he's a real asshole and he's not a likable person.
No, he's bored half the time, complains about his desk job, he just wants to go drink and kill people.
I think the most of the Fleming novels is no offense to fans of the novels, I like them too, but a lot of Bond complaining, like a lot of bitching.
Yeah,
about
he gets more human as it goes on about his bitching, but like he's still just bitching.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of like when Fleming will just spend 10 pages on like the breakfast at a hotel.
Yeah. Oh, the lifestyle stuff is great, and you don't need a period setting to do that. And I would love to see, we've talked about this. We want to see the movies do this more, but like again, what is it going to be? 10 minutes of Bond eating like a 5-minute fight scene. It may be really cool each episode, but what would you get?
I would love that. I personally
okay, yeah, I mean,
but that would be the only one. The general audience would turn it off.
Yeah, but like, okay, so let's go back to the idea of if you had to do some period stuff. Say every Bond film going forward, TV show, movies, there has to be period.
Mm-hmm.
What period of a Cold War do you set it in? Do you set it exactly in the time? And what does that element
I would set it in the year the book, Casino Royale would be 1953. Like that would be, it. But and like the music would have to reflect it. I think it'd be weird. I mean, would you use music that exists, or would you have new music in that style?
Yeah, you have to go all in. And also gadgets. I mean, the books don't really think the movies are, but like look at the gadgets from the first few. Like, okay, the car has guns and a thing, something crazy,
right?
A radio transponder.
I feel you would get laughs from the audience even if you were trying to be serious in the time period. You're like, this phone can make a call from anywhere with no wire. 007. Like, yeah. So I feel like,
and that's the thing. Like, I mean, I guess the issue people talk about it with modern day Bonds is that you have to keep inventing sort of new villains. But I mean, the 70s also did this with every villain being an industrialist, but they kind of did it with like Elliot Carver, Oil, Queenpin, Electra. I rewatched a lot of her Brosnan films recently and have opinions. And also the gadgets. Oh, now that cell phones and iPhones exist, like what's the big deal?
Yeah.
But like you can still make good gadgets. We talked about Dying Every Day. The little sonic vibration ring is actually a genius idea.
I feel like they kind of they stepped back with the gadgets, obviously, and that was the choice with the Craig stuff. But hopefully we see in the future more gadgets and just kind of lean into enjoying being Bond. In the books, he doesn't enjoy being Bond, and the books don't really enjoy what they do.
Which is so strange considering how lavish Fleming is on the travel, the food, the everything of a time. But the movies do that too, for the most part, when done right. So you don't need it to be a period setting then.
No.
Again, the conflict, like, what's it going to be? Bond going to Yugoslavia and just killing some Tito aide, or like,
an
actual Russian Red Grant? Like, I don't see that's also going to have diminishing returns plot wise, also.
And say you had Felix again, and like it would be a Jeffrey Wright type, and now Felix is black. And you have all the Fleming race shit. Like those books are pretty messed up. Live and Let Die has some questionable stuff for today.
Like if you thought the movie was bad.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like the people that champion the period movies don't see like that. Like, did you think about how Bond acts? Do you think about how he treats women and how he treats other races and other class? I mean, he does not hold back. Fleming doesn't hold back how he feels.
And I was also thinking about the aesthetics of it too, like because Fleming loves the good life. He loves showing the good life. He loves showing, I think I want to say it was 007 in New York or Live and Let Die. Like Bond just has fried chicken and like a Miller, and hell's one of the best meals he ever ate. Which is interesting because he's like contrasting with the setting, but that's Fleming for you. But like with the aesthetics, I think when Bond films do it right, we keep coming up with excuses for Bond to wear a tuxedo, right? And sometimes it looks really good, Casino Royale. Sometimes it looks kind of trashy. Lord's Not Enough and Tomorrow Never Dies, like trashy party. But like you got to have that bit of old world class. It doesn't have to be old period, just be old world. I think.
Yeah.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service, that hotel and casino, it has that. You could have been in that place in the 20s, 30s, 60s, and it would look the same.
Right.
But then you have Diamonds Are Forever, and Bond's in like very present day Vegas, and that's of the time present day.
Right, sure.
It looks kind of awkward. It looks kind of kitsch, and he's there in a white tuxedo. It doesn't look good.
Right.
Sorry to any fans of the movie.
I mean, there was a lot of Sean Connery eating cheeseburgers and between 67 and 71.
Someone said, I think it was the Kill James Bond podcast that said that he looked just like Morrissey in that movie, and I cannot unsee it.
I gotta listen to this podcast. These people sound awesome.
Kill James Bond friends, we love you. But yeah, no, it's like, even if you go back to the movies that were made in the period that we're talking about, like they're just contemporary movies. Thunderball isn't trying to like look old.
Right. We put the kitsch on top of it when they aged. And some Bond, and I feel like that's part of the fun about Bond, is they age, and they age like, not like, I don't want to say they age like a fine wine, but our opinions change and we look at them in a little different ways. Sometimes we'll enjoy certain movies more or less as time goes on, and like that's part of the fun of it. And you know, now GoldenEye is super 90s kitsch, like, and it was the hottest, coolest movie at the time.
Yeah. I'm going to quote
you're fine. I'm just chasing my cat. He's doing something naughty.
We'll do another Q branch. Be right back.
Yeah.
Well, to what you were saying, you know, GoldenEye. I mean, I'm going to quote Christopher Walken and Vito Kilvo now, but like, I find a computer indispensable. You know, like you have like that weird late 80s, early 90s. You know, like a computer can do anything.
Right. Yeah.
Identigraph and for your eyes only.
Identigraph. No.
And you just have Q saying there's like.
Yeah.
But no, it's like, you know, even if Your Eyes Only and Octopus, they're both Cold War stories, but you can only do both those films in the very late Cold War.
Yeah.
After detente and everything.
Yeah. I think, you know, I think it'd be really worth it to do Russia again in a future movie, because the country's geopolitics have changed dramatically since 94, 95. So
yeah, the geopolitics today are fascinating, and you can do something with it. It doesn't have to be, you know, dour Jason Bourne stuff. You can still have fun.
I don't need
we talk about
bad guy to Danny be the author of all his pain. I just need him to be a piece of crap that Bond needs to go get.
And it needs to be a henchman. Yeah, you can do it. Like we talked about Danny Boyle's Bond 25. It was going to be a Russian oligarch as the villain. I mean, every spy film lately has done that. The terrible Chris Pine, Jack Ryan film had it. Tenet had it. Both guys were played by Kenneth Branagh, which is oddly enough weird. As a Russian oligarch, it's like a thing now. But like, you can do that. Yeah. It's not like the period setting is nice, and the clothes are nice, and the cars are nice. But Bond in the but okay, we talked about this a little bit, but with Tarantino and Casino Royale.
Yeah.
Is there a story that you think, like Tarantino was like, this needs to be a period story? I have an idea. This has to be a period piece to get the whole drama thing. Are there any of the, let's say, post-Cold War films or post-Run-Out Fleming stories to do? Do any of these need to be Cold War stories? Do you think that anything like intrinsically has to be that, or period piece?
Well, I mean, For Russia with Love is probably the only one that has its finger on the pulse of like, it is 1964, 63, you know, relations. In terms of, are you in terms of novels?
Novels, or even some of like the old movies where it's like you if you wanted to readapt this, because, you know, we talked about how like a lot of films are readapting old elements. Like considering all they showed as a modern story, From Russia with Love, okay, the book it's Smersh and the movie it's Spectre playing Russia, and you can still play Russia and America off against each other.
Sure.
I mean, it is a Cold War. That is probably the most Cold War story of them all. But I can't think of any reason we would have to do it to do one story.
No, I don't. I don't see it. Like, even like the most, I mean, like just using Russia as an example of like a Bond big baddie, it was GoldenEye. And it was about that transition, you know? You had all these, you know, soldiers like Oramov who were, you know, trying to adapt to this world. You have the mob, which is like kind of taking over everything with Valentine. So that one, I feel like that would have to take place in the early 90s to have the same effect. But I would love to see a deeper dive into the oligarch thing, like with Danny Boyle's thing. Like, I was watching an interview with Parvis and Wade, and nanobots were something they pitched for Worlds Is Not Enough. So all the ideas, they go on the shelf, So Russian Orwell, Danny Boyle, that's still there. They might still do that. So
yeah. Well, and because we watched all of Brosnan films lately, there really is a running theme of like Bond dealing with like the detritus of a Cold War. He himself as a relic. You have, the old missile train that Yanis Trevelyan uses in World Is Not Enough. Oh, hey, this oil pipeline is because Russia's trying to like take over the old ones, and Renard is a former KGB agent. Die Another Day, even like who are the bad guys left? Well, we have North Korea and Cuba's around. There's like some sleeper agents, and even Tomorrow Never Dies. It's like, well, I need to start ratings. What can I do? We started a Cold War between China and Britain because they're equally playing. I don't know. Carver's scheme is again weird, but
yeah.
Oh, and talking about ideas coming back. Remember the whole like Renard having like no pain was supposed to be Stamper's idea.
Oh, cool.
And they didn't use it, and it came back the next movie. To your point.
Yeah, just goes on the shelf. There's no bad ideas. It's just like the wrong time.
Sometimes there are a few bad ideas.
A little bit. Diamond powered.
We talk Die Another Day, guys.
Go
watch a Die Another Day video. We talk about that.
Yeah. But I feel like also when we talk about the way that Bond treats, and this is a big one, the way he treats women. Do you want to go back and do you want to see what that we watched enough Mad Men to like get a good enough like holy crap, this is how grown men treated adult women that were supposed to be
not
working
okay. The Connery years are not okay.
No, they're not. And like they are time capsules of behavior that we have evolved past.
Hopefully.
And
you
go back to it on purpose kind of slaps in the face the entire Bond series, because the Bond series itself evolved and got better. And each movie does something. Like a lot of people will complain that like it's not doing enough, but it's doing active stuff every single movie. So I don't want to break that at all and go backwards just for the sake of it being in the past. And I feel like you would do a disservice to the past by not being honest. So unless you're going to do like a Man from U.N.C.L.E., where the movie is kind of fantastical and kind of just lighthearted to begin with, and then, but we're doing Fleming, and we're doing to do Fleming hardcore, you got to do all of it. And doing all of it, I feel like would put off everyone.
And again, I feel like it would just be diminishing returns at some point. The first one to do it would be kind of cool. Like, oh, hey, look, they're doing a period setting. Look at the fashion, this and that. It would be a gimmick, essentially, because they haven't done that. And then you do it again. It's like, oh, we're doing that again. Or the third one, if they do a third one like that way, it's okay. What's new this time? Like, it eventually comes down to, well, how good is a movie overall, whether it's a period setting or not?
Yeah.
So there you go. I don't know. And like, okay, yeah, cool. We like old. Just put Bond in an old world setting again. Put him back in Portugal. Like when he was in Rome, it was great. Just you can do it.
Yeah, and certain places and locations are just timeless. So if Bond goes to Paris, it's Paris, and it's downtown London.
You go see Paris Carver in Hamburg, Germany. It just looks like a modern city.
Right.
Sorry, still on Tomorrow Never Dies.
Yeah, like
you said, Paris popped in my head.
There's plenty of timeless cool stuff, and Bond will always wear nice suits and will always have a cool car. And if you want Bond in the 60s available on Blu-ray or streaming or all the old movies, and you can go visit it at any time. No one's deleting them. They'll always be there. So for Bond, no. For something like The Man from U.N.C.L.E., where like isn't as recognized or revered by like a general audience, go ahead and part to get people in the door is that kitschiness. Like it needed that like visual attraction, or like look at the cool suits and look at the cool dresses, and it's jet set in 60s.
Wow, Russia and America working together. Holy crap.
Yeah. The Man from U.N.C.L.E. couldn't just have people excited because Man from U.N.C.L.E., because no one's watched it in like ever. So
I was excited, but
I was excited too, but like it's not one of those often rerun shows that like There's a ton of Man from Uncle fans.
Well, I mean, remember, here's a Bond connection for you. The Ralph Fiennes, Uma Thurman Avengers film from 97, 98, featuring Sean Connery as a villain.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about that movie anymore because that was bad.
Yeah. I remember being so excited for that movie though. So excited. Because I did watch old Avengers on like reruns and like videos and stuff. But yeah, like Bond doesn't need the period right now or ever. Just like certain directors, you know, the Christopher Nolan says, Bond doesn't need me right now. And I'm like, that's ego, but I get it. Like when you gotta, you know, have the Christopher Nolan kick in the door, like the franchise probably real trouble. It needs like a gigantic director to save it. But we're not there. We don't need gimmick. Bond's enough.
So people on the internet who are saying it should be a period movie, you're wrong. We said so.
And just watch the video from all over again for all the reasons.
Yes. Hit rewind or hit it back on YouTube, or if you're listening to us on the audio, just go back to the beginning, listen to us again and again and again. Right.
And tell your friends.
And and that's our discussion of period Bond.
Yeah, this is awesome.
It's gonna happen.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Had to say it. We'll be back soon with more discussions. We have another bonus episode coming. We're going to get into those Lazenby Kung Fu movies, like we said. And keep an eye out for some more lifestyle-related videos, too.
Totally.
Yeah. Until next time, I'm Nicholas.
I'm Adam. Bye.
See you soon. Bye.